we Malaysians always say, it's okay, we always have tomorrow, we always have tomorrow. So it's about procrastinating. Hey guys, I'm Jessica and welcome back to my channel. I still feel very cringe talking that sentence, that line over there, but actually I've been giving a lot of thoughts about this channel and whether or not to continue it. The thing is, I'm not a video person, to be honest. I don't find myself very comfortable talking in front of a camera, and I'm always a very shy person. And I think this weekend, last weekend, which is just yesterday, I did a lot of blogging, and then I realized that, you know what, I miss blogging, and blogging is really my thing. And I was doubting like whether or not should I continue this, but I don't know, like maybe I'll just do this, you know, in once in a while kind of thing. Whenever I feel like doing it, then I'll upload a video. So don't expect much from me, but yeah, I would love to talk about the books that I read this last month in August. It's just come out of nowhere. I feel like I want to talk about them, and like I already have the pile with me, and then there are also some books that I don't have with me because I was reading like an e-arc, or like basically an ebook of it. So I have like my list, so let's get into it. The first book that I read in August was Wiving by Caitlin Meyer, and this book, before I go into like what is it about, I would tell you that it's not gonna be a very nice experience. And what I would say is that if you find yourself not comfortable about raping, about the victim's point of view and their perspective, how they're feeling about being raped, don't read this book, because I feel like you'll be easily triggered with a lot of like thoughts and also elements that being discussed in this book. So that being said, this book is about our narrator or protagonist, and I believe, I feel like this is like a memoir thingy. I think I kind of forgot about it, but let's just put it, the narrator of this book, of the story, actually talk about her experiences of being raped multiple times since she was a girl, a kid, and she was being raped by you know, men that she knows, men that she doesn't know, like her whole life until she was, you know, going into adulthood. She's just very disturbing to see like how helpless she is as a victim, and whenever she wanted to voice out, there's always nobody like listening to her, or she just doesn't have enough courage to go and like, you know, say that I'm being raped, please help me. I think at a certain point in the book she did do that, but somehow like people don't believe her, or it just doesn't work out. In the end, like she was talking about her feelings, about her emotions, and sometimes, you know, she suppressed certain things of being like a victim of rape. But if you want to know more about how they think, about how they feel, and about how helpless, you know, these victims of raping are, like, you could definitely pick this up, and I guarantee you would get a lot out of it. So yeah, and I gave it a 3 out of 5 stars. And then the next book that I read was The Girl and the Ghost by Hannah Algove. I gave this book 3.5 out of 5 stars, but with that being said, because it's a middle grade book, I think that's why I rated it as such, because I think middle grade books these days, they don't really like, you know, hit like 4 or 5 stars for me. I don't know why, but I would highly recommend you to read this book. A lot of people say The Girl and the Ghost is scary, but for me, it was not scary at all. Maybe at first it was, when, you know, the grandmother was dying, and then she was like trying to pass down this ballistic, or we call it saka, or if in English we call it like spirits in the form of grasshopper. Yeah, if you would, you know, it's like it's passed down from one generation to another generation. So that being said, this book is about a girl named Suraya who inherits a spirit from her grandmother. Like, she didn't know about this spirit, and the grandmother also like kind of like do not have any idea, you know, how come these Balasit or these spirits will actually end up to like going to the granddaughter. So Suraya kind of become friend with this spirit or this Balasit and name it Pink. So the whole vibe of this book is actually very cute. It's very warm, and I don't know, like there's even this one scene about there's like this graveyard, and even that scene I feel like it's very funny. For me it wasn't that scary, but I think what people find it scary was there's this when they become friends, okay, when this Balasit and Suraya become friends, they become friends because Suraya is a loner. She doesn't have any friends. She was in a new school, so when there's this new girl, okay, transferred to a school, she became BFF with this new friend of hers, and the Balasit became very jealous. He becomes very jealous of don't mind my present and past tense. I'm being very conscious about it at this moment. I couldn't help it, so if I have like any mistakes on my past and present tense, please forgive me. So yeah, the new girl and Suraya becomes really best friends, and then the Balasit kind of gets envious and jealous, and he does like a bunch of evil things towards the friend and like try to scare her away from Suraya so that, you know, he can have Suraya all for himself. And then towards like, I think after the mother figured out that there's this spirit trying to attach himself to the daughter, to Suraya, she called upon a bomo, I think, or a dukun. It's like a healer, but it's not really a healer. I don't know how to say it, but Malaysians, you know lah. It's like a bomo kind of thing. And then this person trying to get rid of him, but not really entirely get rid of him. He's trying to get benefit out of this Balasit and trying to become powerful by getting the Balasit away from the family or from Suraya. He will actually take the Balasit with him and to like benefit, like profit him on his side. So Suraya and the best friend, you know, trying to help out this Balasit named Pink, and just trying to rescue him for, you know, getting destroyed or getting used by this evil guy. And despite like all the things that Pink has done to them, they are still willing to help him out because in Suraya's eyes, he believed that Pink is actually kind and nice, but it's just that he was being clouded by his evil thoughts, his jealousy, so he kind of like, you know, be the evil person he is, or evil spirit he is. And then this book is actually very wholesome for me. It's about forgiveness, it's about friendship, it's about tolerating and acceptance. It's actually very, it teaches kids a lot of values, and also teach adults a lot of values, because it's a middle grade for a reason, you know. It is filled with a lot of moral values, and I really adore this book. As a middle grade book, it's actually really good. And oh, sorry, I forgot to show you the cover. This is a book, The Girl and the Ghost. Sorry for forgetting to show you guys this book earlier. So yeah, it's a pretty cover as well. So the next book that I read is this one. It's a very pretty cover. Pomja by Lang Lief. Actually, this book I think was published last year, and I only managed to read it this year. I got this in exchange for an honors review as well. This one is also I got it in exchange for an honors review from HarperCollins International, and this one I got it from Times Streets. So basically, Pomja is a young adult book written by Lang Lief, and I feel like Lang Lief is a better poet than a novel writer, because I don't know, like I don't really, I feel like this book has so much flaws in it. I only gave it a 2.5 out of 5 stars. The thing is that there's also no reason behind this, because I'm not into young adult as much as I did before this. Like maybe last year I would enjoy this much more, but this year I it kind of fell flat for me. The plot wasn't interesting. There's insta love between the main character and also this charming handsome dude, I guess, and it's about pursuing dreams and a lot of dramas. I wasn't into it. Okay, basically this story is about Verity Wolf, who wants to become a poet or wants to become someone who writes modern poetry. So like she wrote amazing poems, I guess, and then she posted on Instagram, and then she became famous after that because some artist kind of like posted one of her posts, which the poem actually is not hers. It belongs to another poet, but she kind of got famous because of that post. So because of that, she kind of like got a deal, and then, you know, go to, I think, New York, if I'm not mistaken. Is it New York? I think it's New York. And then she went, and then she went there, and then like the fame kind of like got into her, and then she had conflict with a best friend. So you know, it consists a lot of drama, teenagers chasing dreams. I personally find it very meh for me. It wasn't like my kind of book anymore. I was not into it. But if you're someone who wants like, who's on your way to chase dreams, and I mean, I'm still chasing mine, but this book is a bit too unrealistic, so I didn't like it. I mean, people do get famous, you know, because, you know, artists kind of like hype them up and stuff like that. I mean, I know that kind of things do exist, but for me it's just a no-no. And also, actually, in this book, long we have actually discussed on how, like, you know, the authors or the poets get like haters on like pop poetry, like how some people think that modern poetry is not real poems that are not as deep as actual poems should be. Like poems are classical, like, you know, William Shakespeare and stuff like that, and like modern poetry is nothing to them. So she discussed about that in this book, and then she also discussed about haters. Like she categorized them in like in 3 categories. I think I wrote it in my like short review in Instagram, but I kind of forgot what I say already. But yeah, like 3 categories of haters, and like those who criticize, those who like don't really criticize or something like that. So basically she was talking about haters bashing. Sorry, she was talking about haters bashing on her books and poems. She was talking about like how the authors or the poets in this book, but I think indirectly she was talking about herself as well. Could be just my assumption. So the next book that I read was a very quick one. It's called Dancing Souls by Sharifa Nadira, a local author and a local poet would be more precise. So I rated this book 3 out of 5 stars. This was a very easy read. It was a collection of poems and also like short essays. I would say it's essays like 1 page or more, like more or less 1 page. So it's a collection of those 2 things, and it was a very fast read. I think I finished it about 1 or 2 hours. Did I like it? I give it a 3 stars, so it's like a middle point, I guess. I didn't hate it, but I didn't like it as much. And then there were also like some sort of like errors here and there. I think there were like typos, or like there's a repetition of chapters, if not mistaken. I feel like it could be a better book if the author or the poets go through the whole book again and edit it like more thoroughly. It would be better. There are some poems are just too short for me. Just talking about this book, right now we are talking about me criticizing on like modern poetry. It is like modern poetry, Dancing Souls. So I actually don't really like that kind of poems. It's not really my thing, but I do find like few pieces of the poems in the collection was actually pretty good. So like it gives you this kind of like, oh yes, it has like sassiness in it. That's what I like, but it has attitude. So basically Dancing Souls, some of the poems actually has attitude in it. It was very sassy. It shows a lot of personality, okay, in the poet's writing style or poems. And moving on to next book, is this one, People from My Neighborhood by Hiromi Kawakami. This one, this is an arc. This is not like this is not the finished book. So this one is actually, this is my first time reading this kind of book. It's actually a series of Japanese microfiction. So it's basically short stories, but they're very, very short. It's like about 2, 3, 4, 5 pages long. It's not very long, and like each story, it looks like it's being separated, but you will see some characters appears in some of like multiple stories across the stories. So from there you can see that connection between the characters and between the people and the stories, and like they are all from the same neighborhood, and it's very peculiar, this book. Like the stories and the tales in it is not, it's definitely not like realistic kind of setting. It's very like fiction, a bit like fantasy, I would say. So it's a very, I think it's peculiar. Peculiar is the right word for this book. So it was a bit peculiar, but I really enjoy it. I don't know why. It was a pretty good read. It was a pretty solid read. I gave it 4 stars. So if you like Japanese lit, I would recommend this one. And it's like a very, very fast read. Like you finish it in just one sitting. And then the next book is this one, Spirits Abroad by Zen Cho. And Spirits Abroad is the book of the month for Untitled Book Club, because in August it was our Bulan Kemerdekaan. So the whole month we are celebrating our Independence Day, which falls on the 1st of August every year. And so we so they pick up this book, and I actually buddy read this with a fellow Malaysian, John, from John is Reading on Instagram, and then Sanas from Mawar Lembayung, if I'm mistaken, but it has a Mawar word in it. I shall like leave like their usernames somewhere here. So it was a really great buddy reading experience. You know, we set up the dates, like we set up, okay, like, you know, this week we're going to finish certain parts, and then like the next week we're going to like finish certain part, and then we actually have like a discussion at the end of the week. So it was really, really fun experience. And they actually decipher, like they are the critical thinkers, no, critical readers. So they basically like how I call it, decipher, yeah, like they actually go through each story and understand the meaning behind it. I don't really understand some of it, and they say some of it is kind of like understatement, but yeah, sometimes I don't understand, like when you need to read in between the lines. They helped me a lot with that, to understand the stories and what it's trying to represent. So Spirits Abroad, there are 3 parts in this book. Let me see, 3 parts here, there, and elsewhere. So here it's basically the stories that's set in Malaysia, and then there are stories that's set in overseas or somewhere not around Malaysia, but involving like Malaysians. And then we have elsewhere, which is everything in between. That means it's like there's magical, mythical creatures, that kind of things. Yeah, like the world that we don't see. So those are set in elsewhere in that part. So I think the part that I enjoyed the most would be here. The stories are set in Malaysia. Especially I think I really love First National Forum on the position of minorities in Malaysia. So in this is the second story of part of the here part, and I enjoyed this one because they were having this forum. So like group of people were discussing about, you know, how like minorities are being treated and stuff, and then suddenly there's this one Bunyan. Bunyan is, how do I say this? Bunyan is like again like spirits. They have like their own world. In our world, like we cannot see them. They have like family. They have like, they are basically humans, but in spirits form, and they have like a whole world that was hidden, that cannot be seen by us. Yes, we do believe that in Malaysia. And then so this Bunyan, which is basically invisible to other people, so started to talk, and they talk about, you know, how their voices are not heard, how they are not seen, which is like literally, but I think they were representing the minorities, or like the indigenous people here in Malaysia, or like the people from like Sabah and Sarawak, who are hardly listened to. And so I think that story is really great, how to just sum up about how the minorities' voice are unheard of. It was such a great discussion. That story was it for me. And then I think I also like a story from elsewhere, which is called The Earth Spirit's Favorite Anecdote. In that story, it is so Malaysian. Like you get to read curse words in Malaysia, and then there's this like tomorrow kind of culture, which is like sometimes when we go to we want to do something, we always say never mind lah tomorrow lah, never mind lah tomorrow. For example, I'm supposed to do my assignment today, but we Malaysians always say it's okay, we always have tomorrow, so it's about procrastinating and stuff like that. It's so relatable, but the whole story is not really about that. I think there's like these other points as well, because it was talking about earth spirits, the jungle spirits, and like how they are trying to get this place. It's very like whimsical, so you need to read it for your own, but I really enjoyed the story as well. So that's on Spirits Abroad. I think I gave it 3.5 out of 5 star, because there are some stories that I felt a bit disconnected with, while some stories that I enjoyed tremendously. So as a collection, it gets a 3.5 out of 5 star for me. So last book that I read for the month of August is this one. Again, this is an arc that I got, I think last year. This book is called The Babysitter's Coven by Kate Williams, and I think their sequel is coming out this month, September, I think. So I gave this a 3 out of 5 stars. Again, this is a young adult book. It has like this witchy vibe. It gave me the sort of like Spy Kids featuring Sabrina, the animation one, the animated version. It was great reading young adult again. Like, it was so easily going through the words. It's very easy, there's nothing too deep about it. It's actually about this teenager named Esme. So she figured out she has this superpower, like magic kind of thing. She could move things around. I think it's like telekinesis, if I'm not mistaken. So she met up with this new transferred girl, and then they kind of like figure out the whole system, and like trying to learn a few like sort of like spells to get their power work. Not just, they can actually do multiple things. Like the girl can do like fire, and then like they can actually like learn how to like cook and stuff like that. I don't know, like there are like a bunch of them by learning those techniques, I guess, just call it. And then after that, of course, they need to fight an evil guy, and that evil guy was that's the one thing that I don't predict from the book, like who is that evil guy, because I don't want to think too much about it. I don't want to like trying so hard to figure it out. I just let it go, like just go with the flow. And I think that was the right decision for me to do. So they fought the evil guy, but that was like their climax. I didn't find it very fascinating because it's very easily solved. Like suddenly there's this synods is like the other realm police, I would say. Then like they come and like capture this bad guy, and then, like that's the end of everything. So it was kind of like, it fell a bit flat for me from that point onward. I was like, oh, this is so easily solved. Like, why can't the girls like beat the bad guy in a very badass kind of way? But it did not really happen, I guess. Or maybe I just schemed too much. Or maybe I just schemed like too much of it. But overall, this was a fun read. I would actually recommend it to young adult lovers. So I guess that's it. Those are the 7 books that I've read in the month of August. And this month I have like few books, but I don't think I would talk it in this video because it's getting too long already. Yeah, if I don't know, let's see if I were like to do, I don't think I would do a TBR video, guys. That's just not coming from me. But I have fun talking about all the books that I read in August. I'm pretty proud of myself because honestly I thought like I read about 4 to 5 books, and it turns out I read 7 books. But There are some books that actually very like, you know, Dancing Souls, and then Pomja. There are a few young adult books that I kind of like went through very quickly. So yeah, these are the books I've read, and thank you guys for watching, and hopefully I'll see you in the next video.